welcome to the Badger Politic. I'm Scott Stearns.
This is Paul Sickle. Good evening.
State of the Union edition.
Sodu
edition.
Wait, isn't it STFU edition?
Sure.
I wish.
It should be.
Yeah,
we're just coming off the State of the Union, which just wrapped up a little bit ago.
we're recovering.
Yeah.
We're getting over the trauma.
First thoughts?
Oh, dude.
It was that tremendous. It was that great.
Oh.
That unifying. We feel like we can come together.
Yeah.
No more threat of shutdowns over
as long as we don't
ridiculous manufactured crises.
As long as we don't investigate them.
Yeah, exactly.
Trump lived up to his shithole reputation tonight.
Yeah.
There were a few fireworks here, and there's a lot of sycophancy there. And,
obviously.
The firework being that Nancy Pelosi didn't get to actually introduce him.
Yeah.
Which I think he snubbed.
I'm not quite sure what occurred there, but I noticed it right off the bat because I've watched many of these over the years, and the process.
It did seem a little abrupt at the start.
Yeah, the president gets introduced as he walks into the chamber, and then he walks through and to applause and shakes hands, makes his way to the podium. Greets the vice president, greets the Speaker of the House, and then he stares out at the crowd, and then moments later, the Speaker of the House gavels everything in, and then reintroduces the President of the United States. That didn't occur, but I don't know at this point if it was a snub by Pelosi or if Trump was just like, you know what, I'm not going to wait for it. I'm just going to own this, and I'm going to dive right in.
I seem to remember hearing a gavel just faintly at the beginning, and I think he might have just talked right over it. That seems like something he would do.
Yeah,
I don't know. We'd have to go back and watch the footage.
Yeah, it was notable though that he did not get that second introduction as is traditional with this speech.
Yeah, so this is depressing.
Well, he dove right in and he tried to strike a bipartisan tone, but then he used language like it's not a Republican agenda and not a Democrat agenda, which is a Republican talking point, way of referring to the Democratic Party as the Democrat Party, just to annoy them.
I do it when I get frustrated with the Democrat Party,
right?
Which is like almost every day.
Yeah,
but it's usually from a different perspective than Donald's.
It was something that was obviously intentional and meant to get under the skin of his opponents. So just something that I called out. He focused on the economy and jobs. His tax cut, made mention of the repeal of the individual mandate from the Affordable Care Act. And then he said, quote, and it's just a terrible rhyme. Mm-hmm. He said, if there is going to be peace and legislation, there cannot be war and investigation. And I'm just kind of wondering, who wrote that line? Do you think he, inserted that into the speech, and looked at himself in the mirror with, an air of satisfaction on his face?
Probably.
Look at the rhyme he just came up with.
Yeah, probably.
I mean, it's just,
do you really want to keep talking about this?
Let's work our way through.
Do we have to?
There's a lot
okay,
here.
All right.
I mean, he did talk about some stuff that actually.
And the Bucks are winning.
Right. Clobbered.
I guess that's not news either. So.
No, they're continuing
39-13.
Yeah. He talked about clemency for nonviolent drug offenders, which I think is a bipartisan issue.
There was his highlight.
Probably. Yeah, I think that was probably
that in introducing the Holocaust survivors.
Yep. Buzz Aldrin was there. Talked about going to the moon.
Speaking of introductions, Lowlight was introducing the family who had relatives killed a few weeks ago in Reno, trying to insinuate that undocumented immigrants are the security threat to all good white American families.
Yeah.
Having them up there in tears. I mean, that first of all, you're exploiting that family's tragedy.
Absolutely.
Whether the family bought into it or not, you are.
Yes.
There were other attempts. In Iowa, there was a woman who was killed by an undocumented immigrant, and this happens. I mean, undocumented immigrants.
Crime happens,
right?
And it doesn't. It happens from people that are citizens and people that are non-citizens.
Let's make this clear: undocumented immigrants commit homicide at a much lower rate than do documented residents and citizens, so to speak.
Violent crime rates are lower amongst
in a country with 300 million people, or more than that. Yes, and unfortunately 20,000 homicides a year, mostly fueled by the gun epidemic that we have. You're going to have people of all different backgrounds. So, of course, you can find some victim somewhere. Right. And then you're going to use that to cast aspersions on 11 million people. Really, people who are friends of ours and are like neighbors of ours, people who pay taxes, people who go to war for this country.
Yeah.
People who help stop crimes and people who are victims of crimes.
Well, if you're going to make that point and you're going to talk about this family who's been tragically wronged through a crime that was committed, why not extrapolate that and let's talk about all violent crime in this country and why it's higher than it is in many other Western countries, and then attack that as the source of the issue. Why segregate the crime that is committed by illegal immigrants? Because that seems to be not really attacking the overall issue.
That was truly the low light in order to promote a subsidizing of a boondoggle on the border.
The wall. So he went to do a lot of things around, the wall funding and border security. He talked about the gang members. Yeah. He talked about human trafficking. He
lied about El Paso.
He did.
Called it the most violent city, which it never has been.
He said El Paso was one of the most dangerous cities in the U.S. before the border fence was installed, and that happened starting in mid-2008. Totally false. El Paso had the third lowest crime rate amongst the 35 largest cities from 2005 to 2007.
Before the border wall.
Completely pulled that out of his ass.
Overnight. The jobs claim, I posted that actually. 5.3 million jobs versus, more jobs than in the previous administration. No, actually, the last 24 months of the Obama administration, there were 5.3 million. Oh. And he's actually claiming credit for 200,000 of Obama's jobs.
Oh, so he's just carrying that over.
Yes, yeah, there have been actually fewer jobs under his thing. Obama's growth rates 4 times topped what he cherry-picked, which was the second quarter of last year. It's so disingenuous.
Of course.
Presidents will always try to cherry-pick things to highlight, but this is beyond cherry-picking. It's going way back and not even using the most recent data, and it's completely besmirching the Obama era, which was frankly one of real recovery from a huge downfall.
Let's get through the few other things he talked about.
A highlight for me was the Democratic women dressed in white.
He had a Christmas list of things that he listed off. He talked about the tariffs. He had a few sentences on infrastructure, and then quickly moved on. Didn't talk about any specifics or funding around that. Yeah. Talked about lowering healthcare costs. Talked about protecting pre-existing conditions. As he's supporting the lawsuit to overturn the Affordable Care Act.
He's also given guidance in his administration not to defend the protections.
Exactly. So it's completely disingenuous. He had
more than disingenuous, it's false.
Yeah. And he had one sentence on school choice. So
national school choice, which sounds like a really lousy idea.
Yeah, that's going nowhere, but it's lip service to that constituency. He had one sentence on.
I don't know if it's going nowhere, but I hope you're right. But
he had one sentence on paid family leave, and then he used that to spring into the abortion thing. And,
which is, again, another bunch of whatever.
Yeah, it's throwing some lines in the speech to the religious right, an initiative to prohibit late-term abortions. And then he went into North Korea.
He stopped the war.
He did.
Had Clinton won, we would have been in war. Give me a break.
I mean, I can't imagine any other president being able to pull off this
saying that without right.
He said, quote, "If I hadn't been elected president of the United States, we would be in a major war with North Korea." I mean, it's just completely asinine.
Right. I got to tell you, Scott. I don't know what you're gonna think of this, but I brought along a friend who probably would have a brighter view of this whole thing.
Oh, okay. Who is this individual?
Well, you know him. He's made a few guest appearances. Uncle Rick is. Oh, yeah, he's Rick. In the house.
He's in town.
He likes to come and give me a hard time on big days for his orange blood, buddy.
Okay. Well, I'd be interested in getting his take on.
Okay, all right. Well, we can check in with him. I just did want to get another shout out to the women in the Democratic caucus who were suffragette white. That was cool. That was probably actually Trump's highlight of the speech when he congratulated the Congresswomen.
Yeah, that there were more women in Congress than ever in history.
That was the one moment. That and the Holocaust survivors that were there with. If he would just shut the fuck up about all his divisive shit, he could probably cobble together enough support that he would be formidable in this re-election. I thought he was going to pivot. He really didn't pivot.
No, I think,
which is probably good for us electorally, but. Although you never know.
The word you're looking for is humility, and it's something that he's completely incapable of.
He's dancing on the edge of humility himself.
Well.
So, all right. Well, I'm going to go. This is depressing. I'm just going to go drink.
Okay. We'll catch you later.
I'll see if you can find another Friday here.
All right. So, yeah, there's lots of other stuff. There was the withdrawal from the Intermediate Range Nuclear Forces Treaty, the INF Treaty. So he announced that they're pulling out. The U.S. is pulling out of that treaty, and Russia, in response, is going to pull out as well. Europe is not on board with that at all. So that could prove interesting in terms of where we go from here with regards to nuclear weapons. The Democratic response, Stacey Abrams gave the Democratic response this time around. And, she did a good job. It's a tough job. It's only really newsworthy when people fuck it up. And she didn't fuck it up. She did a good job. She's very charismatic, and she's obviously somebody to keep an eye on in the future of the Democratic politics.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Are we ready to go here, Scotty?
Looks like we got our guest co-host joining us.
I was warming up with some of the boys over there at the bar. They were agreeing with me. It was a really good day for America today.
Yeah? How so?
Well, even it's a little bit Democrat-leaning here, but, the Democrat Party people, they could come away with a lot to agree with from this speech by our president.
Did you watch the State of the Union?
I did watch quite a bit of it, Scotty.
All right.
I was very impressed by the man we put in office.
Really?
He's making America great again.
Okay, well, we've heard that a million times.
By the way, you already introduced me.
Uncle Rick.
Uncle Rick, yeah. I come by once in a while and check on these these socialists. I don't know if you heard, but your time is running short on this country. Your time in charge is coming to an end, my friend.
Yeah, that was one quote he had. This will never be a socialist country. That was the
highlight of my night, Scotty. That made me know that he's a true American, a true patriot.
Okay.
It says the first line in the First Amendment of the Constitution is that we can't have socialists.
I don't.
It's free enterprise. It's the First Amendment of the Constitution.
It's freedom of speech, I think, is the First Amendment.
Well, it's a freedom to have speech for enterprise.
Oh, I see. Is that what it is?
That's what I think. I'm pretty sure it says that.
I get that this is the fear on the right wing of this country, that we're becoming a socialist nation. In what way are we becoming socialist, Uncle Rick?
Scott, I don't have any fear about it at all. We're not.
Oh, okay.
We got a good man in charge.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good man here in Wisconsin, too. But there's still got ways of keeping
Are you on Medicare, Uncle Rick?
Controlled. Actually, I'm not quite eligible yet.
Oh, you're not? Okay. Do you plan on being on Medicare?
I paid into it, so of course.
Oh.
But that's something I've earned.
Oh, is that right? Well, it's kind of something we all pay into, so that we all have it someday when
I've heard
eligible.
That tired old argument about that, Medicare. That's one of the things the Democrats, they like to do is Medicare.
You realize Medicare is a single-payer healthcare system.
Well, it's for people who've earned it.
But it is a single-payer healthcare system for senior citizens, similar to what they have in Canada.
Well, if you live to be a certain age and you've earned it, and you've paid your taxes.
So as long as you've earned your way into socialism, it's okay.
No, Scotty, that's not what socialism is.
So what is socialism?
What you see here is socialism is about taking away the money from people who've earned it and giving it to people who haven't earned it.
But you do realize that I'm paying money out of my check. Maybe you should save up and pay for your own Medicare.
Look, I in the ideal world, that's what we would do.
Oh, okay.
But we had to do something to protect people who earn their keep and deserve it.
Got it.
That's why we had
to get a bunch of people together to throw some money into a kitty so that everybody could benefit from it.
Look, I agree with you, Scotty, that there are people, illegal immigrants, benefiting from these programs, and they're watering it down.
Oh, okay.
And that was what Mr. Trump again pointed out, was that we needed to put a stop to that.
Okay.
That's why he's building that wall up there. And that's going to happen, Scotty.
You think he did say, "I will get it built"? He was quoted.
I know. I could see Nancy Pelosi. She was clapping kind of sideways, but I think she was kind of looking at her troops, saying, "You better understand this man needs his wall." And I once voted for it. And, I voted for a $50 billion wall. That's what Pelosi was saying. She and Barack Obama, back when he was called Barry, back before he didn't want us to know he was a Muslim, or he was from Chicago.
Yeah.
He said he was from Illinois.
Oh, right.
Not from Chicago. Anyway, he was he and Barry Obama and Nancy Pelosi were the biggest, and crooked Hillary Clinton. She had some contractors in on it too. They all voted for that wall.
They never supported a border wall. There was some border fencing that was put into place from the Bush administration. Nothing.
Oh, and
like,
you know
nothing
who else was in on it was that Joe Biden. The only person who I think opposed it was Feingold. And that's when I knew he was too radical. Because I used to respect him. I know you worked for him. But, he was a little too radical.
What do you think about this El Paso stuff he brought up? He said that El Paso used to be one of the most dangerous cities in the United States.
That was terrible.
Not true at all. It was one of the
cleaned it up now. It's not true anymore. That's true.
No, it had the third lowest crime rate amongst 35 largest cities in the years before they built the fence.
That's because it's a Democrat city, so they had to fudge the statistics a little bit. But we all know.
What do you think about his comments about the investigations? He said if there's going to be peace and legislation, there can't be war and investigation. Did you write that line for him? That was a pretty good line.
He was trying to reach out to the Democrat Party, Scott. That cannot be. It's one thing when they were going about Benghazi, because there was some stuff with Crooked Hillary, and then we found out with her email server and all that stuff, we couldn't have her in.
I seem to recall Richard M. Nixon, after his State of the Union, a year into the Watergate investigation, calling for an end to it because it was dividing the country and resulting in stagnation when it comes to legislating.
Well, Mr. Nixon...
So, and how did that end up?
Nixon, had some good ideas, but he kowtowed to the liberals too much, and then that's why they had to investigate him, because he didn't do everything he wanted for them.
Okay. All right, well, I appreciate you stopping by. Any other thoughts on the speech tonight, or...?
I just think you got to stop you still got to stop going after Mr. Trump. You gotta really embrace, and you Democrat people should be embracing him. He even shout out to all the ladies in your party that got into office. That was awfully classy of that man.
Donald Trump is many things. I don't think I would refer to him as classy. He's from the upper class. I wouldn't call him classy.
I don't know. I think he's a very thoughtful man. He had that boy that was picked on for having the last name Trump. And you saw he taught that young boy a year ago how to mow grass and make $10 doing it. That's a classy move. All right, Scotty. Well, thanks for having me over.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming by. I appreciate it. Always good to get your perspective, and look forward to your next visit. I hope you come by again.
I'll try to come up with some new material to talk to you about.
Well, I'm guessing there's going to be a lot more material in the months to come, so look forward to it.
All right. With that, backwards, or whatever direction you want to go.
Forward.
Rightward. Oh.
Trump is insane.